Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real for a second. Stop what you're doing and think about this. You've been blessed with everything you need to succeed. The tools are in your hands. But here's the kicker. Those tools don't mean anything unless you use them. Saturday or Monday, sunny or stormy, it doesn't matter. The time to take action is now. No more excuses. No more waiting for someone else to show up and hand you the life you want. It's on you. And that's the best news you'll hear all day. So buckle up, because tonight we're going to break through those negative feelings, shift your mindset, and get you fired up to build the life you've always dreamed of. Think about this for a moment. Every single one of us is born with a unique set of gifts, talents, and opportunities. These are the tools you've been handed in life. It doesn't matter where you started or how tough your situation might be right now. If you're alive, you've got something to work with. Some people get the full toolbox from day one, while others get a few pieces and have to figure out how to make it work. But here's the truth. It's not about how much you have, it's about how you use what you've got. Take a look around you. The most successful people you see aren't the ones who had everything handed to them on a silver platter. They're the ones who took what they had and turned it into something bigger. They figured out how to use the tools they were given, even when they didn't know how to use them at first. They experimented, failed, learned, and kept going. You have instincts, you have skills, you have the ability to adapt and learn. Sure, maybe you weren't born into the perfect family or the perfect situation, but that doesn't mean you're stuck. You've been given raw materials. Maybe it's your determination, your creativity, your ability to connect with others, or your knack for solving problems. These are your tools, and they're enough to start building. The problem isn't a lack of resources. The problem is that most people don't realize they already have what they need. They spend all their time wishing they had something different, comparing themselves to others, or waiting for someone to hand them a better set of tools. But those tools aren't coming. Nobody's going to show up and do the work for you. The tools you have right now are enough if you just start using them. When you stop focusing on what's missing and start working with what's already in your hands, you unlock a whole new level of potential. That's when you start to see that you don't need to wait for a miracle, a big break, or permission from anyone. The tools are there, but they don't work unless you pick them up and start building. Let's get one thing straight. Your life right now is the result of the choices you've made up to this point. It's not about luck, it's not about the circumstances you were born into, and it's definitely not about what other people have done to you. It's about your choices. This might sting a little, but it's the truth. Every time you blame someone else, every time you point the finger at circumstances, you're giving away your power. Here's the reality. Life isn't fair. Some people start with more and others start with less. But fairness doesn't determine success. Your choices do. And the moment you start owning that truth, everything changes. When you take full responsibility for where you are, you also take full control of where you're going. It's like flipping a switch. Suddenly, you're not a victim of your circumstances anymore. You're the architect of your future. Think about it. Every single day, you make hundreds of decisions, big and small. You choose what time to get up, what to focus on, who to spend your time with, and what to give your energy to. Even the things you avoid are choices. Procrastination, that's a choice. Complaining instead of problem solving, another choice. Staying in a situation that's not serving you, yet another choice. The hard truth is many people spend more time making excuses than making progress. They'll say, I can't do this because of my boss, my upbringing, my lack of money, my bad luck. But if you strip all that away, what you're left with is still the same. You. You can't control what happened to you in the past, and you can't control every situation life throws at you. But you can always control how you respond. That's where your power lies. Owning your choices means owning your failures too. It means looking at the times you messed up, not as reasons to beat yourself up, but as opportunities to learn. You're not perfect, and you're going to make mistakes. That's part of being human. But when you take responsibility for those mistakes, instead of running from them, you turn them into stepping stones. It's not about being flawless. It's about being accountable. Most people are terrified of this level of accountability because it's uncomfortable. It's so much easier to point the finger, blame the system, or wait for someone else to fix things. But that kind of thinking keeps you stuck. When you own your choices, you break free from that trap. You start to see that every decision you make, no matter how small, is a step toward the life you want or a step away from it. Let's talk about negative feelings. The fear, the doubt, the frustration, the anxiety that creeps in and makes you question everything. These emotions can be overwhelming, but here's the thing most people don't understand. Negative feelings aren't the enemy. They're not there to stop you. They're signals. They're trying to tell you something important. And if you learn to listen to them instead of running away, you'll find they can be some of your greatest teachers. Think about it. When you feel fear, it's usually because you're stepping into the unknown, outside of your comfort zone. Fear is your mind's way of saying, hey, this is new, this is different. Are you sure you're ready for this? And that's not a bad thing. It means you're growing. If you're not feeling at least a little scared, you're probably playing too small. Fear is like a flashing sign saying, you're about to level up. Don't stop now. Frustration, that's another big one. Frustration happens when you feel stuck, when things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like, or when you're not seeing the results you want. But frustration isn't a wall, it's a mirror. It's reflecting back the areas where you need to adjust your approach. Maybe you need more patience. Maybe you need to try a different strategy. Maybe you're pushing in the wrong direction. Frustration is there to help you refine your process, not abandon it. And let's not forget doubt. Self-doubt is one of the loudest voices in most people's heads. It whispers, what if you're not good enough? What if you fail? What if people judge you? But here's what doubt is really saying. You're doing something that matters. Nobody doubts themselves over meaningless things. Doubt shows up because you care, because you're putting yourself out there, because you're trying to create something bigger than yourself. Even anger and sadness have their roles to play. Anger can ignite passion and drive. It can push you to prove people wrong or fight for something you believe in. Sadness, on the other hand, reminds you of what's important. It shows you what you truly value and what you're afraid of losing. These emotions, as tough as they are to deal with, are guideposts. They're not random. And they're not pointless. They're part of the human experience, and they're there to push you forward if you let them. The problem is that most people treat negative feelings like brick walls. They hit a moment of fear or doubt or frustration, and they stop. They turn around and retreat to what's comfortable. But those feelings aren't walls. They're more like rumble strips on the side of the road. They're just letting you know you're veering off course or heading into unfamiliar territory. They're not telling you to stop driving. They're telling you to pay attention. Negative feelings aren't pleasant, but they're necessary. They force you to grow, to learn, to adapt. They challenge you to dig deeper and figure out what you're really made of. And if you can shift your perspective and start seeing them as signals instead of obstacles, you'll find that they lose their power to hold you back. Instead of stopping you, they'll start guiding you forward. Gratitude is one of the most underrated tools you have at your disposal. It's simple, it's free, and it's available to you at any moment. Yet most people overlook its power. When negativity creeps in, whether it's fear, doubt, jealousy, frustration, or anger, gratitude is like a reset button for your mindset. It's not just about thinking happy thoughts or pretending everything is perfect. When your gratitude is, for example, I want the next month. Gratitude is about shifting your focus and perspective to what's right in your life, even when it feels like everything is going wrong. Here's the thing. Negativity feeds on comparison and scarcity. When you're focused on what you don't have, what's missing, or how far behind you think you are, negativity grows stronger. You start spiraling into thoughts like, I'll never be good enough, or why do they have everything I want, or nothing ever works out for me. These thoughts are toxic, but they're also powerful if you let them take over. The way to shut them down is to redirect your attention to what you do have. That's where gratitude comes in. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your challenges or pretending your problems don't exist. It means zooming out and seeing the bigger picture. Maybe you're stressed about money, but you still have a roof over your head. Maybe you're struggling with your job, but you have skills and experience that other people would kill for. Maybe you're dealing with rejection, but you've still got people in your life who love and support you. Gratitude forces you to stop and acknowledge the blessings that are already present, even in the middle of the chaos. Think about how your brain works when you're stuck in negativity. It's like a search engine. If you type in, "What's wrong with my life?" your brain will give you a long list of answers. But if you change the question to, "What's right with my life?" the answers change too. Gratitude shifts the algorithm. It trains your brain to look for the good instead of obsessing over the bad. Science backs this up too. Studies show that practicing gratitude can reduce stress, improve your mood, and even boost your physical health. But it's not just about sitting down and writing a list once in a while. Gratitude is a daily habit. It's something you cultivate like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets, and the more natural it becomes. One of the best ways to start is to create a gratitude routine. Every morning or every night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. It could be as simple as, I had a great cup of coffee today, or I heard a song I love, or I got through a tough conversation. Over time, this practice rewires your brain. You start noticing more and more good things throughout your day, and those good things drown out the negativity. Gratitude also changes the way you interact with others. When you're grateful, you're less likely to feel jealous or competitive. Instead of resenting someone else's success, you can celebrate it. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you focus on the abundance that already exists. This mindset shift not only improves your relationships, but also creates opportunities because people are drawn to positivity and appreciation. Negativity loses its grip when gratitude takes over. It's hard to feel bitter when you're thankful. It's hard to feel scared when you're focused on what you've already overcome. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you stronger, more resilient, and more capable of tackling whatever comes next. Here's the truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. Success isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's not about getting everything perfectly lined up or having all the right resources. It's about one thing and one thing only: doing the work. The work is where most people fall short. Everyone wants the result, the success, the dream life, but very few are willing to put in the sweat, the grind, the daily hustle that actually gets them there. It's easy to romanticize the end result, the business empire, the big house, the freedom to do what you want. What's not so easy to embrace is the process. It's the long hours, the setbacks, the constant trial and error. It's the work that nobody sees, the stuff that happens behind the scenes. People want success to happen overnight. They want the shortcuts, the magic formula, the quick fix where the growth happens. The work is where you discover who you really are, what you're made of, seeing it as a chance to build something meaningful. The reality is that success isn't about luck. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and refusing to quit. The people who make it are the ones who decide, day in and day out, to keep going when everyone else would have given up. And the truth is, you can do this too. But you've got to be willing to embrace the work, even when it's hard. Even when you're not sure if it's all going to pay off. Because the work is everything. Here's the question that should wake you up every single morning. What do you want your legacy to be? When everything is said and done, when your time is up, what story will you have to show for the time you spent here? Too many people get lost in the noise of daily life, the little distractions, the excuses, the reasons why they can't, why they shouldn't, why now isn't the right time. But all those excuses are nothing but roadblocks that keep you from your true potential. The reality is that your legacy won't be built by the things you didn't do. It will be defined by the things you were too afraid, too distracted, or too lazy to take action on. Think about the people you admire, the people who've left a lasting impact on the world. They didn't do it by sitting around and waiting for the perfect moment. They didn't wait for the stars to align or for everything to be just right. They did it by deciding, in the face of adversity, to take action anyway. They made choices that mattered. They took risks. And most importantly, they didn't let excuses stand in their way. And this is the crucial difference between the people who leave a legacy and the people who fade into the background. Most people spend their lives making excuses. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. I don't have enough money. I'll wait until I'm more confident. The problem with excuses is they always seem valid in the moment. They feel real. They feel true. But if you let those excuses keep stacking up, what happens is that you spend your whole life talking about what you could have done. You get stuck in the loop of one day, but that one day never comes. And at the end of it all, you've got a lifetime full of regret instead of a legacy full of achievement. Now, I know it's easy to sit here and tell you to stop making excuses, but the reality is everyone has a reason. Everyone has something that could hold them back, whether it's money, time, family obligations, lack of knowledge, or fear of failure. But successful people, they're not any different from you. The only thing that separates them from the ones who give up is their willingness to push through those reasons, to silence the excuses, and to keep moving forward no matter how hard it gets. When you get to the end of your life, will you be proud of the story you've created? Will you look back and know that you did everything you could to leave a meaningful mark on this world? Or will you look back and see a list of excuses that held you back from being the person you were meant to be? Your legacy is determined by what you do today, not by what you tell yourself you'll do tomorrow. Every moment you waste making excuses is a moment you could have spent moving towards something bigger. Every successful person you admire had moments when they felt like giving up, moments when the world was telling them no, moments when they didn't feel ready. But they didn't listen to those voices. They kept pushing. They turned their excuses into motivation, and they used those moments of doubt as fuel to get better. It wasn't the lack of excuses that made them successful. It was their commitment to refusing to let excuses define them. The truth is, you can either make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't do both. The difference between those who leave a legacy and those who just exist is simple. One group chooses to act, to keep moving forward, and to build something that will outlast them. The other group gets stuck in the what ifs and maybes and ultimately fades away. The only way to create a legacy that matters is to stop making excuses and start making moves. You have everything you need to make it happen. But it's up to you to choose whether you'll act or stay stuck.